This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Paul Johnson, the CEO of Power Metal Resources. Well, first of all, Paul, Happy New Year in 2023. How are you?
Well, Happy New Year, Mark. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's a new year. I do want to, I'm sure we'll be catching up on all of the ambitions and the goals of what Power want to achieve this year. But let's start with the news. You've started the first week of the trading year with a new acquisition. 4,222 hectare Doerksen Bay Graphite project in Saskatchewan. It's a graphite play, the first graphite play in Power's portfolio. So, I mean, first of all, let me ask you, what is so compelling about this project? I mean, you've picked it up there for a consideration of £37,000, which is paid in shares. So it's pretty cheap anyway. But you must see something pretty compelling in the value offer here.
Yeah, with Power Metal, Mark, we're quite keen on not just doing acquisitions, but doing transactional work that brings relatively high-profile projects into the company on a cost-effective basis, but also in a meaningful way, so that those acquisitions can form part of something that has critical mass. And we've been searching to do that with some of our, shall we say, orphan interests within the business over the last few months. We announced the Willan transaction, taking our South Australian newly granted licenses into a package including two portfolios of copper interests in Queensland, with a view to a corporate transaction there. We've also done the same today with a new acquisition of the graphite, which is now forming one of a three-project vehicle ion battery resources that we've formed, so that we now have a Canadian focused, or at least Canadian initially, battery metals and minerals vehicle. And we've sought to do that really across the business for quite some time, to make packages of some meaningful critical mass that have the potential for exploration and development, and the potential for commercial value realization. We work in a sector where, if you look back at the last big run that I can recall, really big run, 2009 to 2011, people were able to make considerable amounts of money in the natural resource space by investing in these junior companies, the vast majority of which never found anything. In this case, with Power Metal, we're creating lots of commercial vehicles with very good projects, exceptional technical input, real high quality marketing, and communications materials, and with a real business strategy and operational plan at the center of every vehicle. So we think we've got a much higher than normal chance of major discoveries. And we also recognize that there is dramatic commercial value generation that can come from this type of work.
Indeed. Well, that just certainly set out and remind people of the Power business model. But what specifically, what about this project makes it worthy of Power's attention?
Okay, so if you look at this particular project, one, it is a modest cost of entry. People are concerned about, how much money is laid out at the lower end of market valuations. It's a wholly shares-based transaction, 2.5 million shares. It's at 1.5 pence a share, £37,500, and the shares are locked in. Another important consideration for people for at least 4 months through the transaction. It takes us into a very friendly mining and exploration jurisdiction, Saskatchewan, Canada. Again, we've got quite a large uranium portfolio there. So we're comfortable with the operating jurisdiction. We have access to the right corporate advisors to enable us to set up appropriate vehicles. We have access to the right technical teams for technical review and ground exploration. We have in-house capability at Power Metal, and we've applied that with regard to this project. And there will be more information coming out about the project in terms of what we think about this opportunity and what our exploration plans are. That work is in progress right now. So it kind of fits very nicely within our business model with our technical and financial capabilities. It exposes us to graphite, one of the commodities that a number of investors have been asking us, ironically, for quite some time, about when are you going to get into graphite? They asked the same question of vanadium, of course. So we thought from a technical perspective, this was interesting. I should say no more at the moment until we announce more information. And it would fit very nicely with our existing interests, Othier North, Duval East, which is lithium focused in Quebec. And also with our recently staked North Wind lithium project, which is in Ontario, to create this triple project vehicle. So there will be a lot more to come out on reasons why and that kind of thing in the not too distant future.
Okay, well, we can certainly await that. But do you have any sort of plans at the moment on exploration? You mentioned in the RNS there about modern airborne geophysical survey carried out over the project in 2013, which identified some electromagnetic conductors, and you undertaking ground truthing. Is that right? Is that going to be the early stage, or what's the initial steps? Is it to almost do a desktop review and see where we are with the project?
Yeah, well, we've got two considerations when you're operating in this part of the world. One is, of course, weather, and the other is the team availability. Been quite busy exploration-wise in Canada. Fortunately, we do have access to the right capability on the ground. We will use this relatively short-term period now. When you get older, as I am now, Mark, everything time-wise flies past super fast. So if it's a few months that we've got to get everything ready corporately with this vehicle, ion battery resources, and also with this project, then we can get our plans in place, designed, also teams booked, costings done, all that kind of thing, and then get ready to go as soon as we have the right window. And what we'll do is we'll put out a separate announcement on that, giving people further information on what our plans are for this project, and also for the other projects within the ion battery resource portfolio.
Indeed, I think investors will be keen to see the other projects that are going to be involved here. You've mentioned there that it does encompass a lot of the projects here, the companies Othier North and Duval East project, as well as some of the lithium projects as well. So this is all going to be put into a new vehicle, private company, I imagine, called Ion Battery Resources Limited. So this is going to be a purely battery metals focused branch to Pow's business that you will then again look to add to the IPO list. Of course, we are still awaiting both GMT and FDR as well. So I mean, this IPO idea that Pow is following, how's all that going and fitting into the overall business model?
Yeah, well, for Ion, I don't necessarily think it will, just be an IPO route. There are, it's the type of package that would suit itself to an outright disposal, if that was appropriate down the line. We've got to do a bit more work on structuring and presentation and planning for the vehicle. But there are a lot of relatively moribund listed and other companies out there that are in need of new reinvigoration packages. And I think that is what this does, this early stage, represent. Now, the IPO route is, of course, available. We view in our business that it's important to get on with what we've already got in the company from an IPO perspective, what's already running. So we're not going to overload ourselves with new listings happening immediately. We've got a fair old portfolio of work, but it may well be that later on this year, that once we've done our preparatory work, we may decide that the IPO route is the best for this particular vehicle. That will be on the back of what we hope will be successes in other IPO vehicles at that point, and give people additional confidence with regard to these listed vehicles and that they can perform, as we've seen recently with First Class Metals, that's done rather well on the market.
Indeed, it has. Do you have any idea on when we can expect those IPOs, Paul? I know it's a tough question to answer.
It is always a tough question when it involves timescales. When you are, generally speaking, not allowed to be specific, we're pushing as hard to get everything done that people know about as soon as possible.
Okay.
It's a horrible answer, I know, but I think people can see that we really don't stop working in this business. We just come out of the Christmas New Year season, and we've got this transaction announced to market. There's other things obviously underway. So we are literally doing everything as quickly as we can.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, just to finish off, just to get since we are at the start of the year, can you perhaps give 3 key objectives that you want to achieve during 2023 for Power Metal Resources?
Well, that is a great question, and it's certainly not one that's been prompted beforehand. 3 key objectives. Our main reason to be is to drive our share price to considerably higher levels. That's something for me that is a priority. If you look at almost any element of our business, if it was held by Power Metal in isolation, we could probably justify our current market cap with the work that we put in, the technical and communicative output that we release as a business. So I think I look at the portfolio we have, its diversity across 3 continents, and the packages that we've created, and I think that we're perhaps poorly valued by the market at the moment, and that's obviously the view of many of our shareholders, as I see and I hear feedback from all the time, who feel the same thing. So a share price movement is absolutely key. It helps that we're going into what I think is going to be a very strong market for junior resource companies, and the better companies do outperform the poorer companies, and I think we're in the better company category. So share price is the number 1. So number 2, I suppose, in terms of our business, is focused on major metal discoveries. I accept that we already have a major metal deposit within our portfolio of interest with the Pilot Mountain project, tungsten, copper, silver, zinc in Nevada, USA. We're currently actively exploring at Malopo and a Tati project, and also we're doing exploration drilling in the new Ballarat gold projects in the Victoria Goldfields, and there will be plenty of other programs this year. Now, all of these programs can deliver major discovery results. And so making 1 or more, preferably more, major discoveries this year would be a logical thing for me to say, and that's exactly our focus. And then thirdly, I think these companies, generally speaking, are better if they are strong financially, these junior resource companies. So we've always laid out that we want to use our commercial and technical know-how to build commercial packages that can go from a project to an investment. We've done that with First Class Kavango. We're doing that with other packages within our business, and we're building our balance sheet, which gives us an ability to become, if we wish, self-financed. But as I've mentioned before, the moment you have a very, very strong balance sheet is the moment everyone chucks money at you. It's quite ironic, really. So we would have optionality for sure. So building our balance sheet, building our financial strength as a business is something that's quite important to me as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Paul Johnson there, the CEO of Power Metal Resources, for your time today.
Thank you, Mark, and let's hope it's Bonanza 2023 for junior resource investors.
Indeed. Thank you, Paul.
Cheers.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.